Hi, Maddie. I'm so glad you're here. And that we finally get to meet in person.
Yes.
We've had a lot of connections thanks to social media. And, even when I was in Nashville when we met, I think it was still over Zoom.
Yeah, we did it Zoom.
So I'm just so excited to meet you in person. You know that I'm on a mission to help entertainers in their mental wellness.
Yes.
Ultimately to have a positive impact on the entertainment industry and to end celebrity suicide.
Yeah.
And we've talked some about the pressure of being an entertainer and a musician and the industry and just how the pressure can compound. And so I'm always advocating for mental wellness, mental health. My background is in therapy, even though I do integrative coaching now using the Enneagram. But when you and I met, I was inspired. And I was inspired not only because I love your music and I love your voice, that's a given, but you were so vulnerable in sharing your journey and how important understanding your story and your family of origin has been.
Yeah.
And the healing that you've experienced. And I remember saying, like, you have a good therapist. So I'm wondering if you could just, whatever you're comfortable with, just share a bit of why mental health is important to you and your industry. We'll start there.
I think that it's important because in music it's very kind of glorified and romanticized of like being depressed, and people love like a sad boy or like Lana Del Rey's kind of like dramatic sad music. And as an artist it's really easy to kind of pull from a darker place than it is a happy place. Like I can write you 10 sad songs, but ask me to write something happy that's going on, and I'll be like, yeah, let me think about that. Even though, you know, happy moments are happening in my life, it's not as easy to talk about happiness as it is for me personally to talk about like what I'm going through. But also I feel like being an artist and writing and creating and storytelling through song, I want people to know that they're like not alone in those thoughts and feelings, because that was kind of like what I first got pulled into music from, was hearing something that related to an intense situation I was going through. So having that experience with music, of that connection of feeling like this first time in my life where I'm having kind of real emotions and thoughts and feelings for myself, and then being related to through song, that was just huge for me. So I always knew very early on that that's what I wanted to do for people. And we talked about it a little bit of how I've kind of always been a performer and doing things to make other people happy. It's just kind of part of my growing up and the kind of household I was in. There would be something negative that would happen, and I would deter it by singing a song or telling a joke and just kind of trying to lift the mood. So I find a lot of joy, and like I'm making myself better by making the overall feeling better, which is probably like 7.
Yeah, Enneagram 7. We're talking Enneagram 7s, yep. They keep the rest of us going.
Yes, so that's kind of just where I've always pulled from it, and I think it's important.
Yeah, and what I love is that you were essentially conditioned to be that happy person, and the glass is half full, and be the life of the party. But what I learned about you is that you were doing your inner healing work.
Yes.
And I think that is so important. And you said, this is what I want to bring to other people. And I think when we can use our own healing to make the world a better place, that's what it's all about. I don't know anybody doing their healing journey who isn't doing it for someone else. You know? But it is that I have to take care of myself first, so that I can help other people get there as well, right?
Definitely.
So can you share just a couple things, like 2 or 3 things that you do on a regular basis that helps you stay connected to yourself, stay mentally well in an industry that could very easily, you know, consume you?
Definitely. Well, I got into therapy, which I think is awesome. That was a really big step for me, so I'm happy I did that. And I also found a therapist that connected with me within the first 10 minutes, which I know is like super lucky. That doesn't happen for a lot of people. And then she makes me use music to like help myself. So I had
So you make music that you don't give away, but it's for you. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I was having a really difficult relationship with my dad for like the last 3 years. We weren't communicating, and I wanted to either figure out how to heal from that situation and be okay with not having that relationship, or figuring out a way to have a relationship with him that wouldn't hurt me anymore. And she kind of helped me come to the conclusion of I have to be okay with no resolution. And she gave me that line, and she was like, and now you need to go write about what a resolution that you're not going to ever have looks like. And then right after that session, I just sat down at the piano and I wrote, and I came to terms with what that looks like for me. And it felt like the weight on my chest that's in my shoulders, my whole body was just like gone. Everything left, because I just had to figure out in my mind, wire it in a way that made me feel like I was in control of the situation and I wasn't losing out on anything anymore.
Yeah, it's that return to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So then now that I have that, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, tell your therapist I love her.
Yes.
Okay, you know I do. I've never met her, but I love her. So therapy obviously is the big one.
Mm-hmm. Therapy's
What's
big.
one or two other things that you do that's just for you that returns you back to like your reset, your wellness?
Yeah. When I'm down pretty bad, I always like just force myself to show up. Even if I like don't want to do it, if I don't want to go anywhere, I will say yes. I just like force myself to say yes. It's really, really difficult. I was actually having a pretty down week this week, and
Were you going to cancel on me?
I was going to cancel on you. I was going to cancel on you on Wednesday. I woke up and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do the rest of this week. But then I was like, you have to say yes. You just have to say yes. You have to go and do it. And then I woke up Thursday and I felt a lot better. And then Friday was great. And I had a co-write that night too that I wanted to cancel, but I forced myself to go. And just making myself go to the situation, it's always better than my brain tries to trick me into thinking it's not going to be.
Sure.
So sometimes I can't listen to myself, and I just have to listen to yes.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
But one of the things you said before, you started a sentence very nonchalantly, when things get really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really what I want to normalize, is that many of us have those dark moments, those dark seasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, the more we heal, the less intense and the shorter they do become.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about what happens when you're in that dark place. When you talked about, I keep showing up, I just do the thing, I keep going because I know that I need to.
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice you're canceling stuff, maybe you're, consuming something that you don't normally consume in excess, whatever, Netflix or alcohol, whatever. When you can't bring yourself out of that dark space, do you have a plan? Do you have a person or a community of people that you call? What do you do? How do you come back from that?
Yeah, my first telltale sign is like when I stop listening to music or my podcast. That's usually like my warning sign.
I love that you have a warning sign.
Yeah, I still need to do it. I have like a sticky note that I usually will like put up of like, have you listened to any music today? Or like, have you listened to podcasts? Just as like little reminders for myself to catch myself before I fall. But sometimes the fall is just, I don't want to see it. So I'm very open with like how I'm not feeling good, and I will do it through humor. But my friends who are close to me, they know like, hey, that was a dark joke. Do we need to figure something out? So yesterday at my co-write, actually, I like said something kind of offhand, and then after my write, my friend was like, let's go get breakfast on Sunday. And we're really open with each other about talking about what we're going through, and our writes end up being in more of like vent sessions.
Sure.
But I have been super open. I'll just be like, hey, I am not here today. I can't come. And they're like, thanks for being honest. Let me know what I can do to help. I am working on letting help come in. That's my next big step. I'm now saying, hey, I'm not okay, but I haven't figured out yet how I'm gonna receive help. So that's kind of what I've been going through, is figuring out what feels right and what feels good, to let someone coddle me when I am so good at deferring all of it.
Sure.
And just kind of like laying on the couch watching a movie all day, not talking, or not wanting to like work and just calling out, not going. So now that I'm in those and it's like, hey, I did this, they're like, okay, well, what can we do to help? And it's like, nothing sounds good, so I don't know. But I think just getting to that point of saying something is big already.
Yeah, cracking that door open.
Yeah, because a lot of people who just meet me know me as a very bubbly person, but the people who actually know me know that I'm very go in waves of ups and downs. So when I'm in a down, the love that I give definitely comes back. I'm just working on accepting that and feeling worthy of it.
Yeah. Well, it's untethering from that coping skill that you've learned.
Yeah.
And it feels like death. And so when you keep working through that, that's where you get the healing, that's where you get the restoration.
Yeah.
So, and you've heard me say, like, that's the work of a warrior.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just need somebody to say, I see you.
Yeah.
Makes sense why you'd feel that way.
Yeah. And
But that's the start. Oh, cracking that door open.
definitely.
Yeah, so good job.
Yeah.
So, Maddie, I am so inspired by your work as a musician, but also your work within yourself and your healing journey. And I have such a passion for the entertainment industry. What would you like to say to other musicians like yourself who may very well also struggle with those dark feelings, thinking it's unique to them or that they're alone?
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish that you could say to them or that they would know that would bring hope?
Yeah. I think if you can, definitely get a therapy. That's awesome. Been a great experience for me. Finding ways to express that emotion that you're having, not for art, but for yourself. That's been a really big thing for me, is that my creation doesn't have to have value and doesn't have to be presented, and it can just be a way to express myself. And I think finding that in other like artistic avenues is incredible. Like if you can paint, you can write poetry, any kind of thing that isn't your normal way of being an artist, but you can still express yourself, that you don't have to share with everybody or be judged for it or be related to about it. You can just kind of exist with it. That's, I think, huge and something that everyone should try to find as an artist, because it's so easy to put a lot of worth and value in what we create and what we represent ourselves as and like what our brand is, and it's easy to get kind of mixed up in that and feel like, oh, I can't say this, I can't feel that, because that's not how I represent myself to the world. So if you have another avenue of representing yourself that's true to yourself, that you don't have to share, but it's going to help you get through what you have to get through, I think that's been the best thing for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge advocate of any and all creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. There's not those people who are creative and those of us who aren't. We all are.
Everything's
Just have to find
creative.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is such an important conversation.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.